This is Project Management Paradise.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Project Management Paradise podcast, your passport to project success. I'm your host, Aaron Murphy, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Martina Huemann on the podcast. Martina is a professor of project leadership and society at the University College London and WU Vienna. She is committed to empowering project leaders and advancing impactful scholarship. With over 20 years of experience, Martina connects academic insights with practical strategies to inspire global leaders and organizations. Martina, thank you so much for being on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm very fine. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you so much for being a guest. And for anyone who might not know you, maybe you can give us a little introduction to yourself and your background, and how did you become an expert in project management practice?
I think what fascinates me about projects is that you can bring change with it. Yeah. And for me, they always have been very attractive when I started my academic career. Project management was not kind of a top priority at many universities. It has evolved over time. And but just working in projects, so I already worked in bringing project management pedagogics into Eastern and Central Europe. And so actually I was very much intrigued by how projects can make change. And then there was an opportunity at WU Vienna to apply for an academic position. And so I thought, I'll go for it. Yeah. And I wanted to kind of dedicate time to learning how project management works and also what the competences of successful project managers are. So this is what I did my dissertation on. And yes, and then I had a lot of opportunities to also work as a consultant and as a trainer. So I thought it was the perfect job for me to combine not only research and teaching, which I really love, but also training and getting to know how practice really works, and experimenting also with methods I have developed going out, working with project management teams in my research, and see how far we can go. So I really love to bridge practice and theory and practice. And I think this is why I remained in the academic career, but never only being an academic, but always also kind of going out, engaging with practitioners and see how far we can go.
And you often hear a lot of people who are in the academic side, they don't be really too involved with the day-to-day project work. So it's great to hear that you like to have that healthy balance of the two.
Yeah, I think in a field like project management, this is important, yeah, because project management is applied. So we need to be really close also with the practitioners and also policymakers, kind of on all levels. So I'm not only talking about project managers, but I'm also talking about more strategic decisions like on project portfolio level. So also CEOs, that they understand actually the value of projects. And so I have learned quite early in my career that I also need to have a language that is not only an academic language, but it's also appealing to practitioners. So because we very often have this language gap, not understanding each other.
Absolutely. And there's always so many acronyms as well. So being able to translate them into everyday terms is gold in itself. And just to touch on to the next topic, what is sustainability and why is it important in the world of project management?
I mean, it's very clear nowadays that we cannot continue being unsustainable, kind of spending too much money, spending too much resources in general because we only have one planet, more or less. Yeah, so kind of coming from a very big understanding now and perspective. And of course, not only individuals play an important role, but also organizations play an important role. And as I was saying, projects, they are a vehicle of change. Yeah, so actually, projects, they can help us to reinvent an organization, yeah, because you are creating a new building, you are creating a new organization, yeah, because I'm not only talking about infrastructure projects, I'm talking about all projects. And I got fascinated some 15 years ago by sustainable development because I understood that this is a very kind of high abstract, let's say, concept with a lot of ideology, and projects, they are kind of small. Yeah, they're 1 year, maybe half a year, maybe 2 years. But when we talk about sustainability, then we talk about intergenerational. Yeah, so this is kind of irritating because the question was, how can that fit together? And that is actually was attractive to me to understand how you can break down a concept that says we need to balance economic, environmental, and social dimensions with projects. Yeah, they are small, and the way in is, for instance, stakeholder analysis or also business cases. So understanding also the long-term effects that projects bring. Yeah, and so for me, that was the challenge. And what I was actually interested in is on the management perspective and the leadership perspective. So how can I enable project leaders to be able to bring sustainability principles within their leadership, in their management when they do a project? So that was actually how I got started.
And you've touched on about getting the managers and leadership to agree to this. Was that a difficult process to do, or did you have to outline the benefits in the long run for them, or how did you approach this situation?
Well, I have been mainly working with project managers here, and we train project managers to reduce complexity. Yeah, so this is the main training, and I'm a scholar, and we try to help them to do time schedules, work breakdown structures, and all that things. And these things are reducing complexity. Yeah, they are helping them to plan and to deal with the uncertainty. And now, if you come in with a concept like sustainability, a killer phrase is, oh God, that will actually make it even more complex. We already have so much complexity, so that will make it even more complex. And I was always answering, and I still believe strongly in that, it doesn't make anything more complex. It just opens the eyes that the complexity is out there. So we need to deal with the complexity. And that means as a project manager or project owner and also project teams, we need to empower them and give them the possibility to deal with this complexity. Yeah. And this is when I started kind of also experimenting with methods from family therapy to help them and enable them to kind of see it and embrace it before they reduce the complexity. And this is kind of, more or less how I convince them to experiment with me. Yeah, so it's kind of always an invitation to experiment and to see how far you can come. So that's the one argument. And the other argument for the organization is young people, they will not work for organizations or projects if they're not also making a good impact and a positive impact on society. Very, very clear. And we know that it is challenging to really get great talents into your projects and into project management. And so this is also a good way of getting young people attracted to work for your project.
Amazing. It's like the companies will have to take accountability for all the resources and the work that they're putting into each of their projects. And how can we make sure that corporate sustainability strategy is translated into these projects?
Yeah, this is very often a challenge for the organizations, yeah, because it is always the translation into the projects that is kind of the question mark, how you do it, and also how you kind of report it back to the organization or kind of report it in the sustainability reports that need to be done in organizations nowadays. And at the moment, the question is there still a mislink or no communication between sustainability officers and project management office? Yeah. So this is very often the first starting point to get these people together, and also to have sustainability people understand what projects are, also understand where they could make a difference with what they can contribute. And I'm kind of looking into project management standards that you have in organizations. This is one possibility to integrate sustainability principles. Yeah, so very specifically, for instance, in stakeholder analysis, that you explicitly ask project managers and their teams to look into environmental, social, and economic dimensions into short, medium, and long-term dimensions, for instance. Yeah? And if these criteria are put into the forms and the formats project managers need to kind of work, then the chances are very high that this is done. Of course, there's also project owners that need to agree on that. Project sponsors, project owners, they also need to be on the same page. So at the end of the day, it's a decision of the organization how far they would like to go in sustainability. And if they kind of agree, there should be key performance indicators, and these key performance indicators can be translated down into the projects or programs, and then, of course, reported back to the organization. And another role we should not forget here is the strategic dimension of project portfolio management. So even very early, if an organization makes a decision whether to go for a project or not, yeah, in this decision criteria, we can include, of course, sustainability principles again, yeah, and that would be from the perspective of an organization that does a lot of projects. It would make sense to kind of already include it very early in the decision making, whether an organization would like to go for a project or not, and how they want to do it.
And what would be the key in selecting the right projects?
The key in selecting the right projects, I mean, I think that remains as it is always, yeah. I'm just adding something here, yeah. So normally project portfolio management is kind of looking into, yeah, of course, the economic dimension, and maybe also more in the short-term dimension. And we are now adding here to look very clearly into the investment that is done by many project portfolio groups, and also look into the benefits, but not only the benefits, but also the disbenefits that can arise. And we kind of broaden the concept of looking into disbenefits and benefits for not only the shareholder, for them, yeah, for the kind of the project owner or the organization doing the project, but other stakeholders also. So we consider it in a more holistic way, yeah, and are very aware of not only economic benefits, but also look into social and environmental benefits or disbenefits we may cause because of a project. And so the business case or the investment case, yeah, looks a little bit differently. Yeah, so we broaden our horizon. Yeah, and this is why you may again say, "Oh, this is too complex. This is too much." Yeah. Yes, it is complex. Yes, it is much. Yeah. Yes, it is more informed decisions, and of course, organizations will have a limit to they cannot consider all stakeholders, but they can of course consider the most relevant stakeholders to them, and have a more informed decision when they go for a project. And this is what I'm offering.
Amazing. So having more information on not just maybe the profits that they're going to gain from a project, but also the impact that it'll have within the society and even the surrounding areas of where this project is going to be based is something that a lot of organizations have to take into consideration.
Yeah. Yes, correctly. Yeah. But there's a lot of talk about social and environmental dimension. At the end of the day, and my background is business administration, we also need to think in the economic dimension. Yeah. So I'm not saying that we abandon the economic dimension completely, but I think the economic dimension can be considered differently. Yeah. So there's a lot of talk, especially in the public sector in the UK, to talk about costs of projects and costs overrun. And I think a conversation about investment, changing the tone and also understanding what actually the benefits will be for different stakeholder groups, and also the disbenefits. So making an honest conversation and inquiry, what benefits, disbenefits, how they relate to the life cycle costs. So at the end of the day, what value can we create by the project would be a more sustainable conversation that is not only important in the public domain, but is also important in the corporate society.
You've previously touched on the project management office. Maybe you can explain what the role of the PMO is and how can it support project managers?
The project management office is either virtually, more or less only a website taken care by one person, or two, up to 200, 300 people supporting project managers. So the size and also what they offer, the services they offer, will very much depend on the organization. What they normally do in an early phase is actually integrating project management in the organization, professionalizing project management and project managers, and to a certain extent standardizing how project management, project leadership should be done in the projects. This takes a couple of years. However, then the question is, in the next phase, what should they do and what services they could offer? They can offer very different services, from coaching, auditing, also in cooperation with training organizations, more training, also training, train-the-trainer programs, so they can train them, their people themselves, further developing project management standards. And here comes now the sustainability thinking in, because if we take sustainability principles seriously and integrate them into the project management standards and the guidelines of an organization, then we can make sure that they end up also as a priority for the project managers. Yeah. So this is one way of intervening and helping project managers to really consider sustainability principles when they're doing it.
So integrating it early on in their practices, so that is a key cornerstone in all of their work.
Yes. There's two approaches. One approach is very often related to corporate social responsibility, but also to sustainability, that organizations do a couple of nice pet projects, yeah, and doing good for somebody. Yeah, that has its value, but what I'm actually asking for is to integrate sustainability principles in the core processes of the organization. And if an organization is a project-oriented or a project-based organization doing a lot of projects, one of the core processes is project management. And therefore, the principles of sustainability should go into the DNA of the organization.
And in your opinion, what are the pitfalls to avoid when it comes to strategy and sustainability within projects?
One of the pitfalls is that there might be strategic decisions of we want to include sustainability, we go for that. However, the translation into project management and into the project is not thought of. Yeah, so you might do training initiatives and kind of ingrain and gradually, of course, you need to also change the values of the organization. And that takes some time. So this is also not done from one day to the other. But what is very often the case is that there is no conversation between kind of strategy and projects, while projects are actually the ones that help to translate strategy into action. Yeah, so this is very often overlooked. And the other pitfall is that you need to have a link between the sustainability offices and also the project management people. Yeah, and one link in is the PMO, for instance.
Having that constant communication between everyone will be beneficial in the long run, both from a strategic point of view and a sustainability point of view as well.
Well, it's not only the communication that is there, but also that they know what they are doing. Yeah, so it's kind of really engaging them in a workshop that they understand how projects are working, what is project management when it comes now to the sustainability people. Because if they know that, then they can also make the contribution and help the PMO and the project managers and the project owners to consider sustainability principles. And with that, also implement key performance indicators that are reported back and can be collected when it comes to sustainability reporting.
Amazing. Martina, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. A lot of food for thought. And my final question for you today is a reoccurring question that we ask on the podcast. But what has been the most important piece of advice that you've received, and how has it helped you in your career?
The most important piece of advice I have received was during a training in China, which has been very stressful for me. I was quite young. This was one of my first trainings I gave, and that was in relation to the IPMA World Congress going on there. And I was very excited. As I had to concentrate so much, and there was a lot going on also with the translation, and it all went well. And what the kind of participants told me, just smile a little bit more. And I thought that was really, really nice. Yeah. And so I'm now trying to kind of relax more and smile a little bit more. And that was one piece of advice that sticks in my head.
It's a really practical but useful piece of advice. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Martina, thank you so much for your time today. I've enjoyed our conversation. And if anyone is interested in getting in contact with you, maybe would like to read some of your publications, or even just to have a chat more about sustainability and strategy within project management, where is the best place to reach you?
Well, you can reach me through email very easily. So either through my WU email account or my UCL email account. Or maybe you can just put it in somewhere, Aaron. And I also would like to emphasize that we just did a book together with Gilbert Silvius. We did a research handbook on sustainable project management. It's written for academics, but I think it's also quite nice for reflective practitioners to understand what the academics at the moment are researching when it comes to sustainable project management.
I'll make sure to include all that information in our show notes. And once again, Martina, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Project Management Paradise podcast at projectmanagementparadise.com. We'd really appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a review via our podcast app, or you can email your comments or guest suggestions to hello@projectmanagementparadise.com. Finally, if you have not already done so, don't forget to subscribe.